Let's start off with some wins. Wins since our last meeting. James, can you turn your camera on? I want you to share a win.
Just 2 weeks ago, we got an LOI out on a draw land, and then we got
How much? Tell me how much. How'd you come across the deal and what you did that made it
that was
happen?
a cold call. That was a cold call, and then follow up with a meeting the week after, and then we got the LOI out, and then we have a tentative call next week to the buyer and seller, see if we could come to a final agreement or not. It was a meeting.
So you
And
found it through a cold call. You
it
cold
was a cold.
call an owner, asked if they wanted to sell. They said yes.
They
It's
said
a
that
development
they would
site, it's a land. And how'd you come across it? What made you call this owner?
So I called the owner because it's a property that I would pass by frequently. I would try to contact the owner last year, but I couldn't find any contact information. So when I would try again this year, I finally found the information, and I called her, and then she was very nice, and we were able to set something up. Taking it step by step. We had a few.
So it's a 7 acre site, 5 acres.
It's a
What is
step.
it? How much does she want?
Yeah.
And
It's a 7 acre site. It's kind of it's not a straightforward sale. She wants to be part of the deal. She wants to make a smart move, and she has the right to get the best use out of her property. That's why it's not an outright sale, so it's a little bit complex and to navigate.
what's the possible commission on this?
Deal, I think they're valuing the land like at 10 million. I'm guessing you get a percentage off the JV value.
No, you get a commission on the deal size, not the commission, not the JV.
The whole project, the land,
The land, yeah,
like 10 million.
10 million. What, 5%? Land usually goes for 10%. 5% of 10 million, that's a nice payday. Cold calls pay off, you just make the right calls, call the right owners, and ask the right questions, set up the right meeting, and you'll have your way onto financial freedom.
So
That's a
you're
nice
saying-
win.
So you're saying he would make 10 million off this deal?
No,
Huh?
10 million,
No?
10 million is the deal size.
Oh,
And just calculate what, 5%? That's $500,000 commission.
Big.
Don't get him too excited. Let's just keep it
I
cool,
get-
calm, and
I get
collected all the way through. Nice win. It's all about making calls, guys.
So
Be
just
consistent.
prospecting, and had a call with an owner last week, George and I, here at Miami. He owns 3 parcels and a warehouse. He's like a luxury condo developer, and this is like an odd piece that he has. Call with him, and he wants like a JV.
Important, guys, to always have someone with experience when you go look at these deals. That's why it's always good to just bring me in and ask me my opinion. I'll have the phone call. We'll do the numbers high level real quick. It's all about time, right? At the end of the day, time is the most valuable asset we have. So if you look at something, you're excited, it looks like great, but then you start digging in a little bit. The most important thing is having that person, that expert near you and say, this is what the issue is. You might not like it, it might not be cool and like fun. Find out the truth later and how it happened. And
the deal that George and I are working on together, George said, someone with experience, because it did need a little bit of navigating. 2.5 acre yard, long-term lease, George and I are doing together. Yeah. So other brokerages were trying to get the sublease, they couldn't. So then the owner of the company called me, knew that I was speaking with his regional manager, trying to lease out another yard we had for lease for 1 acre. I could find him another site. And he was always very nice to me, the regional manager. So then the owner of the company reached out to me. He said, hey, look, we would love to work with you and help us find a new one. Yeah, perfect. Let me get a call to my broker and see what we could do for you. 2.5 months, we've been going back and forth with regard to a large deal, because so obviously the new tenant doesn't want to be there only for 8 months. He wants to have a long-term deal. So that the last 2.5 months, we've been going back and forth for a large deal. And it looks like that's going to be getting done soon.
outdoor storage site in Doral. And James also executed another deal, another lease with an iOS in Medley as well. So that's a great win there. And then he has another one as well he's going to be doing in Georgia.
Yeah. So the tenant, since they're a national brand group, they told me that they wanted to secure another one in Miami, a smaller size, like 1 acre. However, they want to do there in Miami, and as well go to Georgia. He actually told me now, just recently, last week, he told me Savannah, like in specifically in Georgia, and then later this year, another site in Tennessee he wants.
So when you're focusing on one asset type, like James has, as far as outdoor storage, he's encountered a lot of other opportunities, and that's why it's important not to just stop at one opportunity, but to keep going. As far as that one goes, there's a possible big one coming out of this as well. In Doral, there's a tenant there that my client or our client is going to be taking over, and they're going to be staying as a subtenant. But we're going to grab that subtenant and relocate them. That'll be a nice transaction as well, because that'll be good payday as well.
Yeah, that site, he reached out to me because a while back, I was calling in regards to, I think like a warehouse of his for another, like just actually calling about the market. I remember it. George from time to time will tell us, hey, look, call your market, see what things are leasing for. I spoke with this gentleman. My warehouse is this much, and he asked me, "Oh, where are you from? What do you do?" I told him I'm from Smith Commercial Property Group. We specialize in the Doral Medley area. To know, let me get information. I'd love to speak with you. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then a month ago, he reached out to me and spoke a lot here. And he asked me, "Hey, look, I noticed that you guys have been doing a lot of iOS. I saw you guys had a sign out on another location. I just want to see a price point of what I can lease this lot at." Of course, and I gave him kind of a rundown of what you could be looking, can expect if you're trying to lease it out. And he kind of sort of challenged me and our brokerage, saying, "Look, if you're willing to find me a tenant, I'll be more than glad to help you guys out and see if we can get a deal done here."
That's what happens when you're consistent and focused, and that you don't just stop off of one deal, one transaction, because a lot of times we get comfortable into just doing one transaction. You get, hopeful, and we get all crazy about this one deal when there's a lot of opportunities still going out there. So hold that deal, let the time take its toll, and it's gonna happen, but don't stop. Just keep going. This industry is all about prospecting. You never stop prospecting. You always continue making your calls, keep opportunities, and keep filling the pipeline. The pipeline needs to be filled at all times. The moment you stop prospecting, that's the moment your pipeline is dead, is dry. Successful, you gotta always have deals. It's like the saying goes, ABC, always be closing. Always be closing. And how do you always close? You always have deals. How do you always have deals? You're always prospecting. You never stop prospecting. Okay. That just goes out to everyone in this industry. You stick to the basics. What are the basics? You have your list, call. The more you call, the better you're gonna become in different techniques. You know, the pauses, how do you pause? Why do you pause? So you can hear, you can listen, you empathically listen, right? You want to hear their issues, their problems. You're here to help them, give them value. Those are the things that are going to help you become a better broker. So the more you do that, the more successful you're going to be.
Last week I was in class, and he did bring a good point. He says, we are in the people business. That's it.
Yeah, we're in the people business. We're in the service business.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the name brand behind us. It's us.
It's you.
We're
Correct.
the ones that have to do this.
There's a lot of brokers out there that they're very big and saying that, oh no, it's the brand. Oh no, it's Remax, or it's Keller Williams, or it's
I'm living proof.
This is the name. They're gonna
Yes.
give me business because of the name. And I feel very, I hate to say this, but I feel bad for those people because they don't have faith in themselves, right? They don't believe in them doing the deals, doing the business. And I don't know. I just feel like I never needed a brand to represent my service and who I am. Because at the end of the day, I am the brand, right?
That's what they told us. We are the brand.
You're the brand.
But they train you different on residential. They make it all about the brand, when in reality, the brand doesn't do anything for you but take your money.
Correct.
They
Correct.
just want to take your fees.
They just want your fees. And then in commercial, we're a little different. We try to limit the amount of people, keep it close knit, and make you guys better. And my goal is to make you guys better than me. Train you as much as I can so you could surpass me and everybody's at the same level. Sharp, okay? That's the goal. Jing, welcome to the call.
Still working on them, but that multi-bay in Apalaka, I want to try to schedule a call with the two partners because there's a little bit of a disagreement between them. I feel like that's the only way a deal would get done is if we get in a call with the two partners, try to see what the other one wants.
Mm-hmm.
I should have a call with Seth and a buyer of mine that we're trying to get an offer out on a site he has in Palmetto Lakes. If that site doesn't work for them, I have another site that I could potentially
Who has the site? You have the site, or
Seth has a
has
site, I have the buyer. It's an owner user that
Okay.
I cold called for leases, and he told me actually we're not looking to lease, we're looking to buy. So I sent him a few sites. He was interested, and he just had a kid, so we're kind of waiting for him to get back in the swing of things, and then once he's ready, we'll have a call. I have a few options for him. Hopefully we could submit something done.
Okay.
And
Great.
I should be getting an offer for North Miami land, even though it's not what we wanted, but it's something.
Okay. Yeah, let's get something in there. That's fine. All right. Good job. None other than my nephew Tristan back on the team. Tristan's a cold calling machine. I told him the secret to this game is consistency and persistence. So he's good. He's great at calling. So now he just has to tap in and tune in a little bit to the consistency. But just on his first or second day, he got some leads coming in. I think he has what, two deals or
I have one that wants to sell. It's 9,660 square feet. He occupies two like half the building, and the other two are other tenants that can be renewed by the end of the year.
short term. There you go.
Switch on leases. And then the other guy, I got on the phone with him. I'm not gonna say any names because it's recorded, but he buys strip malls in Hialeah mainly.
Right.
He buys like 3 to 4 a year. So he
Okay.
wants to see if we have any like off.
I'll connect you. We have one retail in Hialeah actually. Julio's not on the call, but if you're on the Google Sheets on our listings, I think it's on there. But I'll connect you with Julio. He couldn't make it today. He had a doctor's appointment. But he has a retail in Hialeah, and that one's listed, and I think that's a pretty good deal.
I sent it over to him, but he already had it pitched to him like 2 months ago. He
Right.
wants to see that we have any off market, and he's gonna need a commercial kitchen by the end of the year as well.
That's why you asked me about a commercial kitchen. Ask Julio about a commercial kitchen. I think he has something on that side.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. Congrats. Andre, talk about your requirement that you got.
So I reached out to someone on my list, and she told me her husband used to deal with her transactions prior to, as far as real estate and all that, although he passed away 2 years ago. And I saw that as the opportunity to, ask her what she was doing with her current properties or how many she has. She didn't want to give me too much details. She told me she has several, but that she is looking for a lot. I guess you guys call it an iOS. I just learned that term today, right now. And she's looking for about 2 acres to store charter buses for a business that she operates. So if you guys have anything similar to that, I guess I'll be reaching out to James in a bit, talk to him about that so I could get her some potentials and show her what we have.
What I recommend there, Andre, and that's great. Stay on top of her, right? Be as serviceful as you can and helpful as you can. So tell her, hey, look, I found this site that might work out for you. This is another one that might work. Like send her options. And any way that you can help her, because obviously a woman and especially a widow, right, who lost her husband, and now like her husband used to do everything as far as transactions goes for her and all that. Try to be as helpful as you can.
Andre, what George taught us early on, and I even use this to us now, is like to stay top of mind. So even like it cannot work for her at all, just sending her something like once every week or so or 2 weeks, just to stay top of mind. Hey, look, this guy Andre is sending me stuff like every week. He's our guy for sure.
Right.
That's I use for sure, and that's literally how I got one of these deals, and also getting owners of companies to know me by name. So if I were to call one of these trucking companies, just for the fact that I've been staying on top of their mind, they could pick up the phone. Hey, James, how are you? What's up? Just staying on top of mind. So it's really good that you have a requirement and you would get something done.
And she expressed that because she told me that she's like, "Oh yeah, I've had several people look, but they don't find much." That's what she said per se. So I could tell that persistence is not there with this client, or they're not exercising customer service.
Very good point, James. Very good point. In my early career, that's exactly how I was able to move ahead. Is staying on top of mind. If I felt like there was a slight opportunity to make a difference or to separate myself from everyone else, was just to have a list of certain prospects that I wanted to build a relationship with and stay on top of mind. Send them something within what they're looking for, right? Don't send them stuff that they're not looking for. And try to stay on top of mind. Give them a call. Hey, I just sent your report, real quick, checking in. Boom. Do that consistently. Those are touches, right? That's when they're going to start remembering your name by first name, etc. So do that as consistent as you can. That'll separate you from the competition. Jing,
Hey, George. Oh,
with
thank you
your
for
mail outs.
keeping me accountable. I think I want to combine the direct mail with cold calling because I personally don't like somebody just call me out of blue. So I kind of want give them some physical, tangible stuff that introduce myself and the value that I can bring to them, and then follow up with it also maybe voicemail and calling. So multiple communication methods going to be multiple dimensional, and I think that would be better than just calling, out of blue. Hopefully that is that is my plan. But I'll be honest, I have been procrastinating quite a lot with active deals. Like you said, I have to do the prospecting, even if I'm actually working on some deal. So I've really committed to make this happen in the next 30 days. This is my first time ever. I have that I've never done direct mailing or cold calling, but I'm committed to this strategy to see how it goes.
That's great, Jing. I mean, I thought you were already doing the direct mail, or were you doing a different?
Oh yeah, I have not. I probably should do that. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But I know you're very systemized in your approach. What CRM do you use? Do you use Go High Level?
I do use Go High Level with the text. Direct mail, I have not figured out actually any provider. Be multiple providers should be, just do it, pick one. The first time it's not gonna be perfect. I have the tools, right? But I need to figure out what is my avatar. What is my target? I don't have a solid idea. I don't know if it's me multi-family owners, but I have some idea. I want relative new properties like over some amount which is close within an hour of my residence, so that it's easier for me to meet them, and maybe mortgage 10 years or expire in the next year or two, so the owner may be motivated to sell with the interest rate up. The first batch I don't plan to do too much because it's just the first time. I don't know how it works, and direct market is expensive. So starting with a small and then testing see how it goes.
I would recommend pick a niche, right? Or if you want to focus in a certain area and be a generalist in a certain area, you can do that too. But I like to focus on a specific asset type. So here we tend to focus more industrial.
Industrial.
Just because I guess industrial, there's a lot more market for. Not to say there's not enough market for retail and multifamily, because there is. I like to always compare industrial, more active asset class where you're dealing with. Let's just go with the leasing side first, right? On the leasing side, you can represent a company or a tenant on a renewal, get paid on a renewal. They don't have to move. You just say, hey, we're going to represent you and help you renew with your landlord. Typically here, you want to focus on institutional landlords, right? Your new lease, right? If they're going to relocate, let's say you're going to take this company out and move them or expand into a different location. That's a new lease, right? So there are two different types of transactions with one type of tenant, right? For tenant rep. Then, and this is all under industrial. Then we move into owner user, because these tenants, sometimes they say, you know what, I'm tired of leasing. I want to go ahead and buy. I want to purchase my own building and operate my company and my business out of. So there you have a buyer who's an owner user. And at the same time, these owner users occupy the whole building. And at the same time, that owner user can also be a user investor. So there's another possibility. So they can buy a building, and a user investors are going to occupy at least 51%. Right?
Yeah.
And then they have the rest of the building as leasing or tenants. So they're a user investor. Now, aside from there, now you have the full-blown investor. And within that range of investors who, is a syndicator who's experienced in buying, but now he has a bunch of investors that are giving him money so he can buy, right? Versus multifamily, you're only dealing with an investor. Multifamily. You're not gonna rent an apartment, right?
Yes.
You're and you're not gonna sell an apartment building to someone that's gonna live in an apartment building. That doesn't make sense.
No owner user.
You're only gonna deal with an investor for apartments. So you only have one type of transaction for multifamily. And within that type, and they're typically by cap rates, right? And they have to look at how often are these tenants gonna, how under the market are they? where is the market and where's the upside? That's really what it boils down to in multifamily, right? What can we do to this building to increase the rents so the building could be worth more money? So multifamily, you're very limited. And that's why everybody likes multifamily, because it's very safe. There's a lot of different tenants. So you lose one, you still have the other building to, take over. So you don't really, there's not a lot of risk in multifamily, but it's just your transaction window is not that big. You're very limited. And there's almost a lot of competition and all these investment or capital market brokers going after the same type of buildings as well. That's multi, right? Then you have retail. You're just dealing with a lot of different types of tenants as well on the leasing side, but you're just more national. So if you go to retail, you're either going to be a leasing retail broker or an investment sales broker. I'm curious to see how office is going to transition. Maybe they're going to be retrofitting a lot of these office buildings, which we've seen now locally. They're, office buildings with large parking lots. And so a lot of these properties can be structured, or there can be a variance in the zoning code where they can be transitioned into maybe a multifamily development or into an industrial as a highest and best use. So there's going to be a lot of changes when it comes to office complexes. But yeah, those are it. And then you have land, right? Land is unique. At least here in South Florida, there's not a lot of land. We're trapped by the alligators and the sharks, right? So there's really not much there's not a lot of land. So we have to either go vertical or keep expanding out north towards like Orlando or something. So Miami's a little stuck when it comes to land, and that's why land prices here are very expensive. I gave you kind of the whole high level so you can kind of make an informed decision on where you want to kind of focus on. So hopefully that was helpful.
Commission is big. And also ask, what if I'm buy? So I feel that the owner user.
There's a lot more opportunities in industrial.
Yeah, so if I have a relationship with one owner, I can do tenant rep. Several years owner, he's gonna buy the building, and I can represent it to the rest of the shop. And each commission is also large enough to worth my time. So it definitely make much more sense. So
yeah.
I'm
And
glad.
industrial is a lot easier, where it's a lot it's more basic. It's just a box if you think about it. Where when you get into let's say office build outs are more expensive. Even retail as well, the build outs are expensive, the timing, the permits. So there's a lot of hurdles that can break your deal, right? And industrial is very simple. Industrial is like, I just need a box, I need to distribute.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty much it. And there's a lot of growth and expansion and downsizing in industrials. A lot of because it's all based off contracts, right? So I have 50,000 square feet. You know what? I got a new contract. We need 100,000 square feet, and these are large transactions. So it's great. Pete, your last question.
Last question is, I plan to more do heavily on prospecting on Chinese owners because I'm Chinese. Those have a little bit connection with them, with the language and the culture. But similar to this first question, most of them individual investors, they own multifamilies. Very rare them own industrial buildings unless they are owner user. Usually they own a big business. They need to run the business. Like my current tenant, rep, they run a biotech, health strip manufacturer business. So the chance is probably small. The opportunities probably much smaller versus individual investor owning multifamilies or the big corporations. So why they work with me as a small broker?
Very good question. Your first question with regards to why would one of these institutional companies want to deal with you as a smaller independent agent versus a larger firm? So we're not an institutional firm. We're pretty small, a local boutique firm. It's all about presenting the opportunities. At the end of the day, these larger firms are going to want to see what opportunities you're going to come across. Okay. And that's the advantage. It's really what are you going to present to these larger firms that the other firms are not? And they're going to be open to working with you because of these opportunities. And we've been blessed enough where we've have a lot of these large institutions a phone call away because they know that we're able to underwrite and look at these opportunities the way they see it, right? On the other underwriting process. What's the opportunity? Why is it a good opportunity? And if you're able to relate that over to them, they'll work with you. Now, as far as a tenant rep assignment from an institutional owner, most likely they'll go with an institutional firm or brokerage just because of the platform that they have. But most of the time, if you offer these institutions a property to purchase and they purchase it through you, they'll give you the opportunity to co-broker or list that opportunity with them because you found them the opportunity to purchase.
Not much option on tenant rep, but I can help them to find a owner.
No, not many options on the landlord rep, but on tenant rep, you have a lot of opportunity on the tenant rep. And one thing I want to highlight versus tenant rep versus landlord rep, I think it's always better to go with the tenant rep because you have the control of the business of the tenant. This is what makes the economy go round, the world go round, is actually the businesses. And if you have control of the tenant, the landlord fold to whatever you want. And typically, tenant reps always get paid more than landlord reps. They get paid 4% versus usually like 2%. And the landlord rep sometimes it's beneficial to the landlord they just have to list the property, wait till tenants come in, etc. But on the downside, they have to do a lot of reporting, following up, informing the landlord, this is what came in, this is what came out. So it's a lot of work. The tenant has relationships, the tenant rep has the relationship with the tenants, and they bring and they show the spaces that are available. And it's all about relationships. You mentioned about, working with Chinese company or business owners. I think that's a great advantage that you have on the tenant rep side because they're going to want to work with you to represent their businesses when they expand or relocate. So that's a great advantage. As far as owners go, you don't have to just focus on Chinese owners. You focus on everyone within that type of asset class. Because at the end of the day, you're going to go wherever that business takes you. So yeah, be consistent with your phone calls. What I like that you're doing, and you should continue doing that, is that you're into systems. And systems are very important. If you can do the phone call, the emails, and the voicemails, I think those are very crucial. The direct mail is great, but obviously it requires an investment. If you can focus on those three before you want to do the direct mail, that's very important. And obviously your social media exposure of yourself and why you're the expert, just, hey, I'm touring this property. Even if you're just touring a property, it doesn't need to be a closed deal or anything. People are going to start acknowledging or keeping you in top of mind that, hey, Jing is the industrial queen of this area. At the end of the day, that's what you want to portray. If you want somebody to remember Jing, what do you want them to remember you as? All right, guys. So that was it. I don't know if you guys have any questions as far as what you guys are working with now or how you're prospecting that you want to maybe need some help with, or any feedback you've had from any possible owners or tenants that you'd want kind of my feedback on, or maybe share your experience to see what I would do different.
I just need help with contacting the owner from Hialeah, like my first lead. He's very like refy in the Spanish, so like even I can't understand it that well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if we just got on a call with him, it would be a lot more transparent and easier to see where he's at.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, sometimes if you don't understand someone, we can always, it's important to have someone at least in your office that speaks that language. That'll help you, navigate that. That'll be good. So yeah, I can help you get on a call with them.
George, regarding the site in Opa-locka, I'm not sure if you saw the email I sent last Friday, but he kind of wrote out a layout of the rents and told me which one had a renewal, but it wasn't like an Excel. He wrote it on paper. I'm not sure if you saw it. It's not the nicest, it's not the cleanest, but it did provide information on the rent. I just wanted to see if we could call, after we're done with this and kind of discuss and see what your guy thinks or if there's any feedback on his side.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
All right, guys. Any other questions you guys have? Concerns or anything you guys want me to share on? Not this call, but maybe the following call. Put it on the chat. Maybe if you want to know about something specific, set it on the chat and then send it over so we can talk about that, discuss it on the next call. All right, guys. Have a great week.